Good morning, and thank you, John. And thank you to the whole IU SPIA team. And to all of you, thank you for joining us today. And welcome to the greatest assemblage of manufacturing policy gurus since Alexander Hamilton had breakfast alone. Why Alexander Hamilton? It's there. What he wrote, not only the wealth, but the independence and security of a country appear to be materially connected with the prosperity of manufacturers. Every nation, with a view to those great objects, ought to endeavor to possess within itself all the essentials of a national supply. These comprise the means of subsistence, habitation, clothing, and defense. Report on Manufactures, 1791, Alexander Hamilton, Secretary of the Treasury. This statement, made over 200 years ago, is part of the mission statement of the Indiana University Initiative on U.S. Manufacturing and Public Policy. Those of us working on this venture believe it is critical to have a vibrant, growing, and large manufacturing base in the United States. We are at a unique moment in United States history. Both presidential campaigns are talking about manufacturing, but we need to put some meat on the bones of that enthusiasm, and the work should start in the first 100 days. As we all know, the work that is prioritized into the beginning of a new administration is most likely to result in the changes and programs that will really make a difference. That's why this conference is aiming for the first 100 days, and that's what the IU SPIA initiative more broadly aims to do. I think we have a great program set for today. Speakers from industry, both management and labor, companies, large and small, speakers from academia, people from the administration and from Capitol Hill, people from the public policy and legal world, and from both the Clinton and Trump administrations. When I organized a conference similar to this one in 2012, I thought I would reach out to university centers that were engaged in studying manufacturing and public policy and find out what their recommendations were. I looked around and I was amazed to see, as John noted, that there was not a university center on U.S. manufacturing and public policy. Not a single one. There are university centers on all kinds of things. On real estate, on technology law, on aging, and on sports salaries. But nothing on U.S. manufacturing and public policy. And so that's why we started this one. We hope that today you will engage in discussion on manufacturing policy issues critical to the next president, even in areas where you may not be on the panel. We want creative thoughts added to the views of the panelists in the 6 areas we are focusing on. Education and the skills gap, international trade, TPP in China, tax policy and manufacturing, national security and manufacturing, innovation, entrepreneurship and energy, and regulatory reform. I'm sure there are other issues that are important, but we feel that these 6 issues and the confluence of these issues is really where the action is. If we can do these right, we can really make a difference. I think we have made a lot of progress on the basic belief that we do need strong manufacturing in this country, and that in itself is not trivial. I would say that 10 years ago, there were many people in this town that felt manufacturing was just not important, and we could make up the millions of jobs we had lost somewhere else. I think that view is clearly in decline, as witnessed by the presidential campaign. Why do we need a strong manufacturing base? I think there are at least 6 reasons. First, the jobs. Manufacturing jobs are important for the job base of the United States. As you all probably know, depending on when you start and stop, we've lost over 6 million manufacturing jobs in the US. It isn't that things aren't being made anymore. There are over 100 million people employed in manufacturing in China. People say the jobs aren't coming back here. What does that mean? Does it mean we cannot make more steel in Ohio? We cannot make more semiconductors in California? We cannot make more computers in Texas? I don't believe that. We can make more of all these products than we are making now with the right public policies. Secondly, technology. We will not be a robust technology and R&D country without manufacturing. People say we can keep the research here and manufacture somewhere way offshore. Over time, that will not work. We are already seeing research migrate outside the United States as our high technologies industries are migrating outside the United States. According to the Information Technology and Innovation Foundation, manufacturers pay for and perform approximately 70% of US industrial research and development, and they are about 3 times more likely to create innovations than other firms. Manufacturing firms receive 90% of the issued patents. If we don't have manufacturing here, we'll lose that. Third, the overall health of the US economy. As Stephen Gold from MAPI will discuss later today, the impact of the manufacturing sector on the US economy is very large and disproportionately large in terms of its multiplier effect. It's a real driver of the US economy. And without it, we're looking at the donut hole and not at the donut. Fourth, national security. As you will hear later today in a panel moderated by Scott Paul, president of the Alliance for American Manufacturing, we will not be able to maintain our national security without a strong manufacturing base. You cannot build aircraft carriers, advanced weapons filled with sophisticated semiconductors, and fighter jets that are protecting us from ISIS without a very robust United States manufacturing base. And finally, manufacturing jobs have traditionally been high-paying jobs with benefits and a way out of poverty and into the middle class. Our economy is not in a state where we can say we don't need more high-paying jobs and we don't need jobs that pave the way out of poverty. We need both of those things. So how do we address the problems of American manufacturing? Today, we have a number of great individual speakers, and we also have panel discussions on the major public policy areas. Each of these policy areas is important on its own, but there's also a confluence among these issues. As just one example, what is the relationship between the skills gap and international trade? How do we encourage young people to go into manufacturing when they hear the US has lost millions of manufacturing jobs offshore due to unfair trade practices? These young people can read the writing on the wall. We have to solve each of these problems and solve them together to put this whole thing back together again. One example of the problems we face is an example from right in the middle of Indiana. Carrier Corporation announced February 10th that it was closing its Indianapolis facility, where it makes heating and air conditioning equipment, and moving its facility to Mexico, eliminating 1,400 Indiana jobs. So this is not just some long-term economic issue. This is an issue that needs urgent attention. We have asked each of the panel leaders or their designees to describe their recommendations, and the papers which do that are in the red folders that were handed out at the registration desk. We intend to provide those papers and follow-up based on today's discussion to the campaigns and transition teams. And there are many representatives here, including very senior ones, from both campaigns, and they will hear what we have to say, and we hope take it back to be well used. We will continue to develop midterm and longer-term ideas as the IU-SPIA initiative moves forward. But the main point right now is to come up with a menu of the right public policies the next president should undertake in the first 100 days to revitalize U.S. manufacturing, and I hope you will all contribute to this effort. Thank you all very much.